Today we're diving into a big shift in kitchen design and trends that move past the kitchen triangle, that classic that's been around for over 100 years, and into designing based on functional zones. This is a more customized practice, and I would love to get your feedback. Have you recently done a remodel, or are you starting to build a custom home? Did you consider using the triangle, or are you starting to look at zones as your #1 priority? I think this is a huge shift. Interior designers all across the market are talking about this change, and I have some huge updates on what's going on in today's kitchens. So stay tuned and comment down below because I'd love to know your input. Let's dive in. The kitchen triangle, or the work triangle as it's called, was designed in the 1920s, and it really took off in the 1940s as design experts looked for a way to come up with an efficient, standardized way of designing our kitchens. The idea was that the refrigerator, stove, and sink are the three parts of the triangle, and that we want to maximize the efficiency between the three spaces for movement and design. And you know what? That trend's been relatively the same for the last 100 years. So let's take a look at what that design triangle looks like. If we look at the triangle, we want to make sure that all three sides added together, that would be the perimeter, are at least 12 feet but no greater than 26 feet, and that no individual point to point should be less than 4 feet but no greater than 9 feet. The triangular flow should also not be interrupted by cabinetry or furniture. The workflow is very important here. It consists of taking the food out of the refrigerator, washing it, chopping it, and finally cooking it. And so having these three zones was really important to the design and efficiency at that time. When I designed this kitchen, and this is my personal house, it was 15 years ago, and this is a custom built home. And I used that triangle to design my kitchen. I got the refrigerator, I got the sink, I got the stove, and I thought of how those spaces would function together. But nowadays, we have more sophisticated and more appliance options, and we use our kitchens in very different ways than we, well, say, have for the last 100 years. For instance, I added a pizza oven. And actually, in fact, I have an island interrupting my flow to an extent because it cuts through one of the larger ends of the triangle. The point is, we're no longer designing kitchens based on just the kitchen triangle. It isn't the best efficient way to design kitchens or today. In fact, my beverage center, where my coffee machine is and such, are all around the corner here, and I don't have the pantry and the storage and the more general things that I need or would like for the way that my family lives. And when we look at zones and using these functional zones to do kitchens, we get a different product. So fast forward to today, where I just built a new home in 2024. So how did I use and how should you use zones? Well, when you use zones to design a kitchen, this is a modern approach that organizes the kitchen into distinct areas based on specific tasks. This is different than like specific traditional kitchen design, which is just on these three areas, the oven, refrigerator, and sink. We want to look at multiple options for cooking. So here are a couple of the zones that you should consider, and you should weigh them out of which one's important to you and which one isn't, and then rank them and decide how to start on designing your kitchen. So let's start with the first one, the prep zone. This is where you're gonna do all your chopping, your dicing. This is where all that occurs that you might need easy access to the sink or water. You wanna look for ample counter space to chop, to mix, or other prep areas. The next is the cooking zone. This is all about cooking and heating food. This could include a stove, but it also might have a microwave, or maybe even a counter space for tools, such as on the side here, or maybe you got a 5-in-1 oven, or maybe you got a pizza oven, just different kind, whatever you're using for your cook and prep of food. The next zone to consider is the cleaning zone. This should be centrally located in your kitchen. It should be around the sink and the dishwasher, and it often incorporates these appliances into the cabinets or maybe into the islands just here, where you might also have recycling and trash bins that are easy for cleaning. A serving zone is another zone, and this is for plating and serving food. But it also might function as a spot for casual dining, such as maybe it's in the kitchen island, or it can be on the side, like in the dining room, working kind of like as a buffet. This zone is often located near the cooking zone for easy transfer of food and dishes, but also near the eating and dining zone. Another zone that has become super popular as we have our Keurigs and our Nespressos is the beverage zone. Look, this is the perfect area to have your coffee makers, your blenders, your wine. It's a place where your morning doesn't have to be interrupted by meal prep, and it often has other beverages, a mini refrigerator, in a cooler, coffee makers, or even maybe like a bar setup with some martini glasses or other bar equipment. And then of course the biggest one, the one that we've seen trending everywhere, one of the most popular things to have in a kitchen today is the storage zone. Think pantries, pull-out drawers and cabinets with everything from spices to dry foods, everything you get at Costco. This is one of the most important zones in the modern home. This is the space that has gotten larger and larger with every new year, expanding this trend even bigger. And once it was just kind of a boring wine shelving, but today's pantries have cabinets and drawers and counters, and some of them even have a whole set of separate appliances with a refrigerator or even a full kitchen, which we call a scullery. This is one of the most optimized and personalized spaces of the house. And so one of the best things about this new approach is the level of customization that it allows. There's no more one size fits all because every kitchen is different. You can now plan your kitchen layout to suit your personal lifestyle. I wanted to have a better cleaning zone. I added 2 dishwashers in the sink to have easy access to the cooking zone. For me, when I designed, I wanted to make sure that number one, we had a beverage zone. So over here, this was my beverage zone. We did the glass cabinets up above to hold all the glassware and be able to see what's up there, but we wanted a space that's not near all the other zones that could house our Nespresso and coffee machine, but also then have things like Perriers and sodas and maybe beer in there, which my wife does not allow me to have in the fridge. And then lastly, the most important room, we added a work zone area on the way to the storage zone. The storage zone was super important for us. We did cabinets because my spouse did not want all the dry goods and other things that we store to be out in the open, but concealed instead in cabinets. So we did both lowers and uppers, which is also just a great place to store on the countertop and have additional prep space. All right, let's get into a couple other benefits of having kitchen zones. If you look at kitchens, they become more and more multi-purpose, and the functional zones just makes it easier to break up where multiple people are using the same space. Someone can now be making coffee in this area in the beverage zone while somebody else is cooking, and we're not intertwined or bumping into each other. This has an increased efficiency that the triangle doesn't do on itself. And with each task in these dedicated areas, it reduces the necessary movement between the areas, and the kitchen becomes much more efficient to navigate. It's also better for organization. Look, items and tools that are stored based on their function are in the zones that they're needed rather than all over the place, which makes them much easier to find and access when they're needed. It also supports for multiple cooks. Zoning is ideal for households where there's more than one cook in the family, or you have multiple families doing different things or similar tasks in the kitchen, and you need different zones, such as one person might be prepping, one person might be cleaning, one person might be cooking. Zones are also very customizable. Zones allow for flexibility and customization, adapting to individual cooking styles, preferences, or maybe the unique layout that you need for your kitchen. You could apply these zones to different layouts, such as if you have a small kitchen, or the zones that need to be dedicated for certain cabinets or counter spaces to specific tasks. For example, maybe you want to keep a small section of the counter near the sink or the prep zone. Open kitchens are also becoming more popular in the open layout, and these zones will help keep things organized around the kitchen island. For example, maybe one-sided island can be for prep zone, while the other side could be for casual dining or a serving zone. One of the problems with the kitchen triangle design is that it doesn't fit all sizes. Think about it. Some kitchens are U-shaped, L-shaped, rectangle, square, circular. So with an open kitchen and an open layout, zones can be more easily organized around things such as the kitchen island. Think of an L-shaped or U-shaped kitchen. These layouts, the zones are often arranged along sides of the counter space, making it easy to flow from one task to the other. So what did we learn today? Look, we can still obey the rules of the triangle, but we should start by designing on the functionality of zones. So whether you're remodeling or starting a home from scratch, think beyond the triangle. Design your kitchen around how you live with customized zones and spaces that fit your functionality for more function, flexibility, and most importantly, your own enjoyability. Hey, look, thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe down below. Drop a couple comments. What do you think? What do you think about the kitchen triangle functional zones? Have you recently remodeled a kitchen, and what did you do? And what would your dream kitchen zones look like? Let me know. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll be back again with more design tips soon.